Hello, good evening. Welcome on live news and demo news for the Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. I've got a couple of guests on tonight. Hopefully they'll be on shortly. I've got Tracy Blackwell, now called Tracy of the OffspringofLeonard. I'm going to find out why she's changed her name and hopefully get some good news off her. But also I've got Joesph Blair on as well. He's on later. And it should be a good show. I've got another mug to give away. Congratulations to Roy last week. And congratulations to Barbs as well for winning a mug now last week. It was great. I'm also going to be reviewing this. Another bottle from Lidl's. It seems to be strawberry and lime cider, Canadian style cider. So I'm gonna give that a try tonight. Okay, I went up to a nice part of North Wales last week. It was Llandudno, and it was a COVID march, anti-vax march, and it was pretty good for the numbers up there. It was up in North Wales. The weather was okay, but just a totally bad signal, folks. I just could not get a signal. I tried my hardest. I managed to get it in the town centre for the march itself, but for the speeches and that, I just couldn't get a signal at all. I met some really lovely people, lots of people I've met before as well, which have come down to South Wales for the Senate, for the PCP girls. I met them a few times down there as well. There was a few good people down there as well. Yeah, so what am I going to be doing this week? Well, this week I'm hoping to go to London Saturday, and then I've got a party to go to Saturday night, and should be a good one. That'll be from London to Birmingham. I'll have to be travelling for on Saturday, and then I'm going to be. I think next week, obviously, I'm going to be in London for November the 5th. I'll be going up on the 4th, coming back on the 6th. But obviously, everybody knows. Should all know. You know you're going to get kettled. You know it's a setup. Like every single march and every protest which is in London, it's all set up, especially around Parliament, because obviously Parliament is the police have got that sewn up, especially the TSG folks. So be very careful what you're doing. I'm not intending to get in a kettle. I've got no way I'm going to get into a kettle, to be honest with you. I'll be on the outskirts of it. I'll be filming it from the outskirts, and hopefully a lot of people will be bringing fireworks because it is bonfire night. Okay, yeah, I'm going to bring on my first guest, and this is Tracy. If you could all please share as well, folks, because I can't see you. I can't really share, and I've only just come off a ban. So if you could please share, folks, and stay with me till the end, you could have a chance to win that mug. Evening, Tracy. How are you?
Hi there, Phil. Thank you for inviting me on. Sorry I'm a few minutes late.
Oh, it's all right. No problem, Tracy. How you been keeping? Because I'm sure you've been keeping busy with all your work regarding for your son and the other two children. Like,
yeah, it's a constant fight. I don't stop learning, researching, gathering evidence, and everything else in the background. So when anyone asks me, I just continually say I'm just fighting and surviving, and that's all I do at the moment.
Yeah, well, I first met you in January. I think it was 2019. I think it was with Sean Morris, and that was by Parliament Square. That was for the Brexit. It's been a long old struggle, especially as far as yellow vests. I would call it the people's movement. That's what I would call it, because it was for all the people, weren't it? At the end of the day, Tracy, and I was proud to march with the yellow vest. I was proud to stand with the yellow vest, and I still would, Tracy. To be honest with you, if the people's movement was ever called again, I would definitely be standing there again, because there's so many injustices in this world which the Met Police, all police forces, they hide away from everybody, especially child abuse, murder, you name it, they've done it. Like, do you know what I mean? So, do you think there'll be any chance of us all getting back together? Well, because before the COVID happened, we were actually on the streets in the town centres where we did it a little bit differently, didn't we? And it was making, I think it was making a difference.
Oh, it was making a big difference. That's why we got so infiltrated. And they infiltrated that movement from inside out because it was real people. We didn't have any leaders, even though they were trying to portray me as a leader. And things like that. We didn't have any leaders, but obviously, I'm out there with a real story, a real injustice, and not the third biggest cover up in this country. There's many. So, of course, it stands to reason that they would want to hide us. And there was a lot of people there with all different injustices that walked amongst us, not just me. Many heartbreaking stories out there. There's just so many of us. So, of course, a real movement on the streets, they couldn't have that. And that's why we were one of the ones that was most lied about, as well as one of the ones most attacked.
I think we were most afraid of as well, Tracy, because they were frightened. The establishment was frightened that we'd end up like France, the yellow vest movement in France. That's what they were afraid of, I think.
Well, if I'm honest with you, if you look up the Gillette Jeans, they were registered a year before they started on the streets, and they were registered by an American company. So you have to question what the Gillette Jeans actually was. But also, you had a lot of ordinary people going out and joining that movement um, for what they was putting out that they was there for. With regards, we saw that, we took inspiration from that, from them being out there, and that's what we did. But I personally believe that we messed up a movement that they was going to start themselves, a controlled movement, and I believe that's what we did. Hi
Yeah,
everyone in the chat. Hello. Thank you for joining, and thank you for saying hello. Hello to every one of you. Sorry, Phil, gone.
it's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to get the comments up at the same time, and I'm trying to
Yeah, I know it's
share it.
hard. Yeah.
Well, I haven't even started sharing it yet, to be honest with you, but I will do now as soon as I roll this cigarette. I shouldn't be smoking, by the way, but I am smoking. Yeah, the yellow vest movement. I think in this country, it was a lot of people who were standing up for different movements, and they were all standing up. But I don't think it was just in this country. I think it was in near enough every single country across the world, like Germany, France, Portugal, Spain, even in America and Canada. And but I personally think that this bullshit COVID was brought forward because there was a revolution going on near enough in every single city across the world. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think this has been in the design and in the planning for years. That's what I believe. I think we've been under covert communism for a very long time. If people listened to what we were saying on the streets for the year we was out there, we were saying that globalism was coming in the back door. And that's what we were saying. If you go back through some of the videos, you will hear it. We just didn't know how it was going to come into the back through the back door. And then appeared COVID.
Yeah,
But I think it's been in the plan. This has been in the plan for a very, very long time.
I'd say decades, Trace, at least
Yeah.
decades, if not
Yeah.
longer, to be honest with you, since the Second World War, I would have said.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I agree with that. Or at least like 1933. 33 is liked a lot. So maybe, 1933 or even longer, but definitely covert communism. We don't live in a democracy. It's all
oh,
double speak.
yeah, it is. Do you want to explain to the people what double speak means? Because I got a fair idea.
Yeah, well, it just means like, say, like when Boris is talking, on the speech that he's been given to say, he'd be saying something, but if you listen to the words, it actually means something else.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Build Back Better isn't going to be Build Back Better. The Great Reset isn't going to be a Great Reset. So it's all things like that.
So, where do you think this countries are going to go in the next, well, a year, 2 years?
See, the thing is, What people need to look for is not what they're showing you. It's about what they're not showing you. What's been going on in the background, what legislation they're changing, and things like that. It's all about what you don't see. Even though I think that they are really showing their hand at the moment, I really do think that they are showing the people of the country what they are. It used to be a lot more hidden before of what they actually are. That is ruling us when they're only meant to govern us. And that's all done through deception. That's all done by assumed authority because they actually have no authority. They do it under assumption that you're going to follow them. Now, if another thing with regards to doublespeak on the news and things like that, they will tell you it's a rule, and then people think they have to follow it, and for in some reason in their head they're taking it as a law. They're telling you it's a rule. Rules don't have to be followed. You have your own free will to choose.
That's right. Angie just mentioned about November the 5th. I'm afraid to tell you, Angie, you won't be dragging no politicians out. I'd love to see it, but it will not be happening. For a start, on a Friday, they go to their surgeries. They leave Parliament on a Thursday. Maybe a Wednesday, like today. Some of them might have gone home. Some of them will go home tomorrow, and there definitely won't be anybody in there Friday. I can guarantee you that one. So taking over a Parliament building, which is going to be an empty building, which is a complete setup. You are going to be set up. You can have a firework display if you want to, and I will film it. But it is a complete utter setup. The TSG will be waiting for you. You'll be kettled, and that's how the night will end. It ended like that last year, but it ended in Oxford Street. You'll be kettled in Parliament Square. Do you agree with that one, Trace?
Well, everything's a setup, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and then once people can see how it works and how it works out there on the streets, it's very difficult for people who watch things online. We've been out there, so we can see a lot more of how they work their propaganda, how they work these movements, and everything else. But for people watching at home who just want hope, and they're watching all these different videos and all these different people, and the majority of them are not here for the people's benefit. They're not the enemy of the state, they're the enemy of the people. And without being out there, a lot of people don't see things like that, and I get that. And then they become confused, and this is what they want. They want everyone in a net of confusion. But with regards to the fifth, when we used to put posts out as the yellow vests, we'd be lucky for maybe 150, 200 people to see those posts for our demos or whatever you want to call it. I would prefer to not call it a demonstration, to be honest, or a protest. We was out there just informing people of what was going on so they could see for themselves. But somewhere else, if you watch the post, they get out everywhere. Watch how many people turn up in their thousands, hundreds of thousands turn up. That's because their posts are allowed to get out because it's controlled. Whereas if we was to put it out like we did in the universe, be lucky if 150 people saw it.
Yeah, one stage there was thousands with the yellow vests, but then they got infiltrated with. I'm not going to
Well,
mention.
that's the majority of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention certain names because I've
No, no,
actually
no,
got
no, no.
I've got a folder going on one of them, like do you mean at the moment, and that folder is going to be released soon as a video, like do you mean. Uh, yeah, there was too many infiltrators. There was too many people who wanted to be in charge of something which it was for the people. It wasn't for any individual, and it never was like to me. Uh, I used to love my going there on my Saturdays and standing with the people, filming it. I mean supporting the movement because I thought it was a worthwhile movement because everybody that stood there, they all had a story to tell, including myself. Like to me, and I felt like more connected to people who wanted to get justice. Do you mean they wanted justice off the establishment after the establishment had, do you mean, never given them justice in their lives? Like, do you mean so? I don't know where we're going to go from this, mind, to be honest with you, because our government is kind of just closed us all down. They've, well, they have, haven't they? At the end of the day, all you've got is COVID marches going on at the moment. You haven't got people really fighting for their justices on the streets anymore. Well, certain how can I put it? Religions and people like that, they're allowed to go and fight on the street, and certain colour is allowed. But I would be called a racist for that. Like BLM would be allowed to go on the street; they would be allowed to do anything they want. But when it came to us, at the end of the yellow vest, under the yellow vest, the people's movement, I'm going to call it from now on. We were picked on left, right, and centre on every single march. There were people pulled out of out of demonstrations. We ended up going to police stations, left, right, and centre, because our friends had been arrested for no apparent reason, no charge brought. But it's establishment. I don't like to call it left and right because I think that's another divide. To be honest with you, Tracy, I think it's just another divide. Like, and
it's the same. It's the same with colour and that. Can I just say,
yeah,
Nancy Edwards there hit it on the head. There should be no leaders because the leaders are Pied Pipers, and that's exactly what they are. They're Pied Pipers leading people down dead ends, and that was something we wasn't doing, and that's why they couldn't have us there because they couldn't control us. You know, the amount of times we would arrive in London and liaison officers would come over, or a constable stroke acting as an officer would come over and ask if we would have meetings with them in Islington, I think it was, or I mean, if Paul Lomas was on here, he'd know, to go and discuss what we was going to do every Saturday. And I even got a phone call and I said, why would I come and do that with you Metropolitan Police when you covered up the murder of my son and his two friends? Why would I come and liaise or have any discussion with you? Because they need to control it, and they couldn't control us, and that was the issue, and that's what they didn't like. With regards to when you was talking about like colour BLM and things like that, that's because to the government, using colour as a divide is more powerful than putting bullets in a gun. It's more powerful. You know, they could portray us because we wore yellow vests. They could identify us as something in the paper. And it was never something good, was it? Because they had to put people off us. Because that's exactly what we were, real people for the people. A people's movement, like you said in the beginning. So wearing that yellow vest meant they could identify us. Whereas if you're out there not wearing anything in your normal clothes, what can they identify you as?
yeah, definitely, Trace. I I did hear the office is opening back up next week. I'm just putting that out there. So if anybody is going to November the 5th, that's a good place to go. If anybody knows where the office is. I shouldn't have brought that up, really, but I have. So where are you at with the boys now? How far have you got to actually, with the new evidence that you've got to get a retrial?
Well, we've had evidence there from very early on. You know, we knew after 4 days they were lying. As time's gone on, we had to pay a private investigator, which we did, and quite a bit of info come from that. Along our way, witnesses came forward. The witnesses then got intimidated. Along that journey, a documentary has been being made, and there's like two. There's part one and part two to a documentary, but part two is going to be have to left until we get to court,
Yeah, I
because there's a lot
understand.
in part two that we haven't put out there, and I can't put out there because what I don't want, because which is what they would try to do, because I've got one chance at this when I get to court. You know, I'm fighting a big system here. We have a legal system. We don't have a justice system. It is a legal system. And there is a big difference between that because legal blankets the law. That's what it does. So I'm fighting a big system here. And, you know, everything comes my way, not good things that I have to deal with or ignore to continue my fight. So I've got one chance, and what I don't want to do when I get to court is the judge to chuck it out on the technicality, and so there is a massive piece of info in there that does have to be saved to court. So the documentary took such a long time to make for many different reasons. Things had to be changed, then faces had to be covered up because of intimidation. Then we had to work out what we want when we get to court, what's okay to put out, enough to put out so that the men and women of this country understand what really happened to our boys, and understand, just as importantly, that our boys are not an isolated case. And that's
Yeah,
what I try and get through to people all the time. Just like the abuse to the children of this nation is not an isolated case, neither are the murders like our boys an isolated case. How many families have been in this country been told something's been an accident, but it never was? They tried to get away with that with ours. And there's
yeah.
many of them. And there's many of them.
F-
Sorry. Sorry,
Far
Phil.
as, far as I'm concerned, it was three murders at the end of the day, and the guy should have served three life sentences. That is my opinion. That's after seeing evidence I saw last year, or earlier on this year. I saw, and at the end of the day, how long did the guy originally have?
Well, see, this is the thing. I think some people get confused and think we're fighting the sentencing. We are not. We are fighting the charge.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
charged one of them. One of them. Now, I can say on this live stream, with all the evidence we have so far, we have no evidence to show whatsoever that the one they claimed was the driver was ever the driver. In fact, that thing, and I will call him a thing, at the scene said he was the passenger. Right? So if you want to base something on evidence, it would show that he was a passenger. Right? Now, it wasn't his car, it was his brother's car. Firstly, as well. Secondly, they charged him. He, in his 37-minute interview, that's all, once, he said no comment all the way through. Right? He has never said anything. On the Monday, when he was in court, he wrote not guilty on a better case management form that they hid from us. So they didn't get him to plea in court, and we didn't actually know that he actually had pleaded on a better case management form saying not guilty. So somewhere between that time and the Old Bailey, they done a deal. They done a deal. That's what they did, and charged him with death by dangerous driving when it was nothing of the sort. He mounted, or not him, who was driving the car, mounted on purpose and intentionally drove in to those children, one being my son, intentionally on that pavement.
Yeah,
That's a fact, based on evidence, based on witnesses at the scene. What the police did was bring in a witness that wasn't there, that statements don't match the scene. No one can identify him who was at the scene. One witness the police brought in a car that wasn't the car behind the Audi. So we have all this evidence. The police have all the evidence, but they spent the whole time. It wasn't police being lazy. I've seen comments like that, oh, they're just lazy. No, it wasn't them being lazy. They followed orders from higher above to do what they did. And we have a link between the pathologist and the witness that the police used in our boys' case, the pathologist that did the autopsy on our boys. The
it's
one witness, sorry, just to give you this, the one witness that they used, their relative, and I won't say what relative it is to them, went to Westminster City School. And if people don't understand how dark this country is, what we live in, how really evil it is, with us going out there and telling them I shouldn't have to do what I do. They put me here. Yet
Yeah,
I get attacked and treated as if I'm the criminal for being here speaking out. But they
yeah,
put me here.
yeah. It's just totally wrong. Yeah, you have already taken all the evidence to the police already. Didn't you have a meeting with them in 2019?
I've had various meetings with them. The police already have the evidence. It was the police that covered it up. It doesn't matter what you show to the police. They know what we have and they know what they done. But what
Mm,
they're doing is putting this brick wall up. A letter went to the Attorney General on the 1st of August 2019 with Nick Hurd, who not long after went to Northern Ireland office, then stood down as an MP. Yeah, whether Nick Hurd knew that I wouldn't get a response from the Attorney General is irrelevant, because that letter that he did before he stood down is a gold mine and helps our case, because in it he states that he has seen the part of the evidence himself, and it has left out in his mind. And he implored the Attorney General to have a meeting with us. And that Attorney General, Geoffrey Cox, I won't call him a sir because he isn't. None of them are. None of them are. They are not here for us. They're not here for us. And people need to see that. Geoffrey Cox didn't even have the honour, the decency, or the courtesy to even reply to that letter. Since then, there's been another 2 attorney generals, which I have forwarded on that letter, and not one of them, that's 3 attorney generals now, has ever had the guts, because they're cowards, to reply to that letter for a retrial.
it's wrong. I personally, like you said, is the charge you're going after. It's not after. You're not going after the sentence. You're going after the charge.
Yeah, because the charge would have give them, and I'll say them because there was more than one in that car. They
Yeah,
was all complicit in what they did. Um, the police were complicit in tampering with evidence. The police tampered with evidence, which we can prove. Everything. We can prove that the court and the appeal court was given fake pictures with fake timestamps on them. Yeah. So there's
yeah.
a lot we can prove. And they just keep blanking it because they know what they've done and they know what we know. And that we've also been telling people it's not an isolated case. Our boy's case would open up so much, but it would also show what we live in to the rest of the people in this country. That was a crime against my son. My son's been stolen from me. My son was just on the way to the 16th birthday party, and these trolls who sell their soul for money, the disgusting things that they've written online, yeah, because they have to put people off our story, the disgusting things they've written about our boys, and a lot of these come from people who are parents.
Mm,
Parents,
yeah, it's
right?
disgusting.
So, yeah, that was a crime to my son. That was a crime to me, his siblings, his family, the community, and to this country. To this country.
Mm, definitely. How long did it get?
Well, that's another thing that's annoying about our legal system that isn't a justice system. So originally in court, they said 13 years, and we knew it was going to go to the appeal court because we could see how it was all being played out. Our impact statements got crossed out, words got changed, yeah, and everything. So we could see how the whole thing was playing out. Then from there, from the 13 years, it went to Court of Appeal, got dropped down to 10.5 years. And bear in mind that it's not 4 years until January, right?
Mm,
It's 4 years in January for the murders of our boys. But this thing is already out, allegedly, because I have another thing to that, which I can't mention on this stream. But allegedly is already on day release.
that, that's outrageous. Killing. I don't care if they think it's misadventure or whatever they thought, dangerous driving or whatever, but killing 3 people I'm sorry to say it. That is murder, as far as I'm concerned, and it could have possibly been more, actually, couldn't it?
Yeah,
And
it could have been 8. It could have
yeah,
been 8. Bear in mind that car aimed for 5, but it clipped 2 of them to the side. Yeah, but it aimed for 5 children. And it's not what, I just have to correct you, Phil, sorry. It's not
yeah,
what they think. They know they know and worked alongside those in that car, and they know that those in that car intentionally aimed at our boys. It's not they think this or they think that. They know what that car did.
yeah. It was definitely murder. It was was it planned? Was it pre-planned, or was it just in the spur of the moment a
No,
thing?
no, no, no. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good
Yeah,
question that you said there. No, but that was pre-planned. It wasn't a car just coming down. And I'll tell you why. It wasn't a car just coming down and seeing children walking on a pavement. And don't get me wrong, that has happened in this country. It's happened outside nightclubs many a time. We've got quite a lot of footage, that I don't hold anything at my house because I don't trust anyone and I don't trust them. But we have quite a bit of footage to show where other cars have done it, and you can clearly see it's been done intentionally. This has been going on for a very long time. In 2011 in London, a car mounts a pavement, goes into 11 people. They get done by dangerous driving from the same DC that is involved in our boy's case, right? Involved. This is because what they do, they only show you certain things. They're not showing you the truth of really what's going on our streets and what's happening to the children and the people of this nation. They're not. And because they're all involved in it. It's not just those that were in that car. This is bigger than that. This is bigger.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it is outrageous. It doesn't matter. I think the law needs to be changed anyway. If you run somebody over and you kill somebody, uh, if it's definitely not accidental, it should automatically be murder, and you should look at a life sentence straight away. And that it should who's in prison who might not be in prison at the moment or is in prison, he should actually be serving 3 life sentences. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't
Well,
ever see the light of day.
yeah, well, what people are not seeing in 1996, they took people's rights, let's say right, under legislation, which isn't law, by the way, but
Yeah.
that's another video. They will start cutting me out when I will start seeing. I can see it just flickered there on my end. So legislation in 1996, which was actually Nick Hurd's father, Douglas Hurd, who took the rights away to bear arms for the people in this country. And there's many reasons why they did that. So what do you think the next weapon is to use when they've taken away the rights to bear arms? This was no accident. The pavement that he went on has an on and an off slope. It's the perfect spot. That particular day, you don't see this amount of children walking that road. You just don't see it. It's not a main road that they like to portray it as. They tried to portray it as that on the media. It's not a main road. And there was a 16th birthday party in Goals that is on that road, a 16th birthday party. And that party was advertised for a long time. So they knew that that particular night there was going to be a lot of children on that road. And that car mounted in the perfect spot. Now, we can see on the CCTV, and it was even admitted by Simon Mauer in the collision report that he never lost control. Yet in the media and everywhere else, it's he lost control of the car, he was drunk, because they had to give the reason to the people of this country of why the car did what it did. And that's what they've been doing all the time. And if you research, you'll see that it's happened loads of times before. It's either they fell asleep at the wheel or someone fainted at the wheel. The one 16 days before, different people in the car mounted at a bus stop. Now, they tried to portray, many people still think now that our boys were at a bus stop. They were not, they were walking. There's a
Mm.
bus stop on that pavement, but our boys were walking. That's a school bus stop. It's for school buses. And but the one 16 days before, they said that they fainted at the wheel. Mounts of pavement, goes into 3 people in Huddersfield, and no charges whatsoever. And in fact, the mother and the father of the young 15-year-old girl who died have an order on them that they can't go nowhere near the man who did what they did to their daughter. But they have no justice, because justice is subject to status, and justice has been bought.
Yeah, there is. I just find it absolutely disgusting. But obviously, our police force, our criminal justice system, it all needs to change, and it needs to change rapidly, because the way things are going at the moment, our government, I know I'm going off the subject a bit, but our government, they've gone into realms of genocide now, uh, genocide, treason. There's so many different things, but they've been doing it for decades. They've done it with your children,
Yeah.
your family,
Yeah.
because it's just like I was abused as a child. It stays with me for the rest of my life. It'll always be in the back of my mind. And you've lost a son, which you should never ever have lost. You should have gone before your son did, and it's going to stay with you. And obviously, you are going to keep on fighting as hard as you can, Trace. And I'll be behind you 100%, because there's a lot of people out there who believe in you. They believe in what you're actually fighting for. It's for any mother to go through that. It's just horrendous, absolutely horrendous, Tracy. Absolutely horrendous. I have got Joesph Blair in the background. If you want to,
Oh, yes, please do.
check him on.
Yes,
Can he,
please do.
he's,
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, thank you, everyone that are saying really kind comments in your chat on Facebook. I just wanted to add that, Phil.
the people who watch, they're amazing. They are. My admin are awesome as well. Try to keep all the bad comments off you. Mostly Facebook. I did have a YouTube channel, and it was going quite well, and then all of a sudden, obviously, YouTube decided to take it down. Anything mention of COVID, and then it's taken down. Well, if you interview Piers Corbyn, the shill, it will be taken down. All right, I'll check on Joesph. Hello, Joesph. How are you, matey?
Hello, you.
Joesph.
Hello, you two lovely people. Can you hear me, Phil?
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Lovely to see you as well, sweetheart.
Hi, Joesph.
Well, me and Lizzie's been busy all day getting. You know I love you the bits, Tracy.
And the same back to you and Bobby, yeah?
Me.
I think he might have problems, I think.
Thank you, darling. Now, Phil, me and Lizzie's.
Can't hear you properly, mate.
Do you keep cutting out?
Yeah, you do, mate. Yeah, so
right, I'll turn my mic off and turn it back on a minute.
Come on, Joesph, you bugger.
Yeah, no.
I did invite Bobby
mic
on.
Back on again.
So we were talking about Tracy's case.
Can you hear me now, Phil?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least there's no.
I can hear you both clear.
No, you can't. So would you like to say anything about Joesph? Would you like to say anything about Tracy's case, or you can't hear us?
Me and Bobby. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Me and Bobby love Tracy and the other families to bits. Tracy invited us down, and we wanted to go down to the graveyard. And this was a couple of years ago. And we've always supported Tracy's cause and the family's cause for what they fight for, because we know truthfully how the system is. And we wanted to show our part to the cause. Like I said, we're all three individuals, and every single one of us have been, no, excuse the pun, shafted by the government and the police system and the powers to be in this country. No, our case, we've well, you know what happened in that film when I told you. We've just been shafted by the government as well. Yeah, considering we won the biggest court case in Europe. So we're going back to Northern Ireland to do a documentary to expose how corrupt our British government is, and the Irish government, and the police force of England. So we'll be bringing it all out. And like I said, whenever you look at the chief inspectors all over this country, they've got a hell of a lot to answer for. The same way the Crime Commission have got a hell of a lot to answer for. So we are going to be exposing it all. We're going to go right through the board, because the way that we look at it, every single problem, every single cover-up that we've got in this country is held by the powers to be. They all think that we're all stupid little, I forget the name now, because who are we? We're fodder. Yeah. And I don't like that word.
Yeah.
Exactly, Tracy. And I don't want it to be like that. And I want people the same way you do, Tracy, the same way you do, Phil. We want people in government that are current, are going to care about all of us. But, you know, we're looking at a corrupt system that we live in. And at the end of the day, we're not the people that are corrupt. The people that are being voted into power, they're the corrupt ones. You know what I mean? They don't back their constituencies up. They don't talk for the people of this country. Nothing really, truthfully, gets debated through the Houses of Parliament. And we can all see it. It's all the rest of the people out there that can't see it. No, that's why we're all the real truth tellers. And people need to wake up and actually start doing all the research themselves and look in to all the corruption that goes on, whether it's in England, whether it's in Scotland, whether it's in Wales, or whether it's in Northern Ireland. Yeah, the place is absolutely corrupt to the core. All lies at the feet of government, and we need to change that.
Yeah, we definitely do. I don't think we can change it by the current voting system, mind. And I don't think we can, because we've got, at the moment, we've got like 650 politicians in Parliament. That's without the rest of the parliaments around the country. And if it was, if we had to wait for another election, I'm sorry to say, but this country it'll be more than ruined by then.
All sides work together.
Exactly.
So what people are seeing, on a Wednesday in Parliament, it's all theatre. Behind those closed doors, behind those cameras, they all work together. And when I stood against them in 2019 as an independent, I saw how they can fraudulently count the votes, the voting boxes themselves. Now, we all know they give a pencil, and you can, tell people take a pen. It's just a cross on a piece of paper, X marks the spot. And all the people who are at the community centres that are there giving you your pencil for you to go in the booth, they're the ones who put them boxes in the car and transport them to the centres where they're counted. They're not securely taken. They just go in someone's car, which then can be swapped over. Take for instance, when I stood, obviously, as you know, they hid me from 4 hustings. I managed to get to one. Well, sorry, I got to 2, but I didn't get in one of them. I stood outside and handed my leaflet out. So the people going in there, who have the right to know who is standing in that borough, in their constituency, didn't know I was standing, because obviously I was hid from it. But I found out about it, so I went there and I stood outside and spoke to these people and gave out the leaflet. And I managed to get to one because I found out the day before, and the priest or vicar informed me that the electoral services at Hillingdon Council were meant to email me. So I emailed them and I said, "Are you aware of any hustings that I've been invited to?" And they went, "No." So I have the proof of the 2. I have the proof of what they did. And the postal votes went to Hillingdon Council. Now, my MP that won in my constituency is Deputy Director of Hillingdon Council. So you've got all that conflict of interest going on. Now, at Brunel University, where the votes were counted, where I was that night, he was the only one who didn't watch the vote counting because he knew he'd already won. Everyone else was watching, but he wasn't watching. So the whole thing is a fraudulent, and I'm sorry to say, but we have to speak the truth. As hard as it is, as hard as many people don't want to listen to what the truth is, because it's easier for some people just to believe a lie, just so they can ignore everything what's going on, and it hasn't happened to them, so they'll be all right. But tomorrow it could come knocking at their door. When my son went out to a 16th birthday party, all excited, I expected my son to come home. And he didn't, and he never will do. And no matter how many times I come out, and no matter what I feel, I still come out for the people, so they don't ever have to feel what I feel or go through what I'm going through. And the same for you, Bobby, Joesph. Sorry, you and Bobby do the same thing. You come out to tell people so their children, their loved ones don't go through what you did. And I know, because it's a different experience, but I know that every time you have to discuss what's happened or carry your boards and your banners, and they say things on, enough on that, especially what the Sun newspaper did. You have to relive that, and you relive that every day just to try and help another family, another child, and the people of this country. And it is draining, it is hard work, and it's continually reminding yourself all the time of what's happened. But we do that because we believe in what's right.
Would you stand again for Parliament?
We've got this.
Yeah, I think if it was a completely different voting system, because it isn't, like I said, we don't live in a democracy. It's a pretend democracy. It's an illusion, because we don't elect anyone. They are chosen already. And what will happen, there'll be a point when Boris is moved, just like Theresa May was, and then someone else will come straight back in. Everyone will think they've got hope for a couple of months, all excited, thinking that things are going to change, and it's not. It's not. Because history, sorry, Phil, history repeats itself on purpose. The serpent keeps eating its tail. It's a continuous cycle of the same thing.
Yeah, until we change the voting system, because obviously, like this, it blatantly it's corrupt. Full stop. Labour, Conservatives, Liberal Democrats, all the parties are all part of the same cloth. Like, I mean, they all run off the same hymn sheet, and until we got to remove them, and I think we've got the perfect opportunity to do it. But I don't think it could ever be peaceful removing these corrupt politicians from Parliament, and that's what bothers me, because if we were going to do it peacefully, it'll never work. We'll never change the system. I think a revolution or a civil war is the only way we can do it, I think.
But do you not think, Phil, that that's exactly what
Well,
they want? Because they will control it anyway. Any revolution, just like the movements on the street, they will control. And if it isn't done, the children deserve a safer and better place and better future and a better country than what we live in right now.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
do have words to change a nation.
Yeah.
We just have to do it differently than how it has ever been done before to create a different society, a different world for them to live in. Because right now, this world is not just totally corrupt. It's evil, and that's a
Yeah,
fact. Everyone's forgotten. Sorry, I do talk.
it's
Everyone's forgotten the values and the morals of what these lands mean. They're forgotten, you know, all intentional by the media, the TV,
Mhm.
people out there speaking. There is no heroes. There is no heroes. You can be the only hero to your loved ones,
No.
your children, your grandchildren. It's you. Their heroes are controlled.
how do you
Mhm.
suggest that we're going to get out of this system, man? Because at the moment, this system is so corrupt. It's just beyond a joke now. People are dying. Children
Yep,
are.
yep.
At the end of the day, as soon as they
Whenever,
brought in the 12 to
Phil,
15, that was it.
when-
Yeah, go ahead.
whenever you try and expose the system, whenever you try and expose the system for the corruptness that it is, yeah. Tracy was right. To the people that this never happened to, yeah. Because their door's never been knocked, because their children have never been raped or abused or killed, yeah. They just get on with their lives because they're so used to being told and dictated to what to do and how to live your life and how the government say they're going to keep you safe. Yeah. But, whenever we looked at Boris Johnson, especially when it came to children being raped and abused. Now, you know about that, Phil. We've got the footage for that. Where Boris Johnson, when it came to the HIA inquiry and historical child abuse, what words come out of his mouth? A load of old fodder. Yeah. If that was his child that was raped and abused, do you think he'd be using the same words? No, he wouldn't. The government are protected. Yeah, they always have been. That's why they get off with all the corruptness inside government and the House of Lords. Yeah, they've been doing it for decades. I want the same as what Tracy, the same as what you want. I want people in government, and I'll use Tracy's words here, people that have got compassion, yeah, empathy, and they share all our concerns, yeah. And up until the day that we ever get that, this country's never going to change. It's as simple as that. Never. We can all tell our heart-wrenching stories about the pain that we all have to live with every single day of our lives. Yeah. But what gets mentioned about it? Nothing. It all gets brushed under a carpet. And the government, the police, everybody, the powers to be, just think that we'll give up and crawl under a carpet one day and forget about it all. But I know I won't. I know Tracy won't. I know you won't. And I know a lot of other patriots out there won't neither. It's how we make the difference. It's about what we say, what we expose. Yeah. And like this COVID lockdown that we've had. Yeah. Sorry for mentioning that dirty word, but everybody could have done their research then because they've nothing else to do. How many have done it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just worried about how we go around to the solution to removing these fuckers, because I'm sorry about my language. It just drives me mad sometimes, because at the end of the day, the House of Commons is meant to be full of common people running the country. That's my view on it. I think the working class should be running this country, not these
Yep.
millionaires. Well, trillionaires. If you're looking at May's husband, he's worth 1.3 trillion. Like, you know, and the way they've got their stronghold on us regarding the pharmaceutical companies, the banks, it's so badly against us, because all the way through COVID, they've been increasing their wealth. We're talking where they used to own like 50% of the world's wealth. Now it's going up to about 70%. And that's regarding the vaccine, the face masks, boys' jobs. And there was extra 200 million millionaires in this country last year, all down to profit off people who are suffering. And that's what it is. The people in this country are suffering. And we need to change it. We need to change it. And we've got to do it. We can't carry on like this.
Well,
more people are going to die.
When you look
it's genocide.
When you look at, whenever you look, sorry, Phil, when you look at Boris Johnson and you look at Joe Biden, right now, Joe Biden, the President of the United States, sorry about the language, because I'm going to say it the way that I want to say it. They can't even put a fucking sentence together. Yeah, they can't put a sentence together. Yeah, they've lost touch with what's going on in the country. Yeah, look at they locked everybody down because of COVID. Yeah, lots of people lost their jobs. Yeah, and they've put all the taxes up yet again. Who's benefiting from all these taxes? They are. Yeah, we're not. We're the common people that make this country work. They don't make it work. They're the rich and no, they're robbing the poor to feed the rich, right? Every single one of us should be Robin Hood and rob the rich to feed the poor. We should reverse it. Yeah, it's called reverse psychology. Yeah, and I'd love to take all the money off every single one of them, right? Because if we did, we could make this country great again and put it to proper needs. Yeah, we got too many people suffering in the country, right?
It wouldn't just make the country better; it would make the whole world better, mate. Because if every government was removed. Exactly. And the working class were put back into power where they should be, because they've got more compassion. They got more understanding of how this country should work. Because the way I'm looking at it at the moment, we should be thinking of Britain first. I mean, Britain should come first before any other country. Sort out our country first, and then worry about any other country. But at the moment, we're spending £10 billion on foreign aid. People will call me racist. I'm not. But then we're paying 60 billion. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Phil. Can I just jump in? It's relevant to what you're saying now.
Go on,
They
Tracy.
don't spend that money. They don't spend that money on foreign aid. Again, it's double
steal it.
Again, it's double speak. It goes into their Swiss bank accounts, which is foreign, and they're aiding themselves. They're telling you, you wouldn't still be spending all this money over all these years. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, and just going on about the just before I forget, we don't have the work. You know, it's not just a class thing. Because again, classes divide, isn't it? Everything's divide. You know, and if you divide a nation, then the nation can't stand in unity together. So they've divided, you know, everything, age against young, workers against unemployed, and everything, colour, black against white, everything's Brexiteers against Remainers, and, you know, everything. And it's getting people to see, because this isn't just a psychological war here. This is a psychological and spiritual war. How to win a war without weapons. You make the people fear. You take away their rights under legislation that isn't law, their rights away to bear guns. Yeah. And you control them just by fearing them and using the media. Because when people fear, they can't critically think. You know, when you were saying about the research, they just can't critically think because they fear so much.
In a sec.
Oh, sorry.
He's disappeared.
Carry on, Phil. I just wanted to say that, you know, they don't give over these billions in foreign aid. It's aiding themselves in their Swiss bank accounts.
Yeah, I totally understand that. The 10 billion that they took off us this year in taxes, that went into all sorts of bank accounts. But the point I was making, like making Britain great again, because they actually take another 60, and they actually do take the 60 billion, and they're putting people up in hotels. That's what it costs for immigration at the moment, is £60 billion, and they do spend £900 on a hotel per person.
Well, can I just jump in again? Sorry, because I think it's very important, right?
Yeah,
you're Welsh, and you're in Wales. I'm English, even though my granddad was half Welsh and he come from Port Talbot in Neath.
Yeah.
You know, but I think we need to recognise the fact that it's England that we need to make great again, because it's the British Empire that are the foreign invaders that are occupying our lands and treating us as occupiers and us as domestic terrorists. And we have to face that fact. Without facing where this infiltration came from and who the infiltrators really are, we won't get anywhere. And that's what we need to make great again. England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. That's what we need to make great again. The British Empire are the foreign socialists that have invaded our lands. And I'm sorry to say that's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, Wales is now the sanctuary of refugees at the moment.
Yeah.
Our AM has decided Wales is going to be an open door to any refugee or illegal immigrant that
then again, who do you blame? Who do you blame? Do you blame the immigrants, or do you blame the ones who are doing what they're doing? Because do you not think that the immigrants are being used as well? They're being used to be brought in for us to then create hate from the natives. Yeah, because of what's going on, and we can see our land is being dragged into the abyss of hell because that's what they're doing. And or do you concentrate on the cause of that problem? And this is the issue. People seem to divert and concentrate and focus on something they should be focusing on. For something to be stopped, you have to focus on the cause of that problem and not the problem itself.
Well, the cause of the problem is our government. As simple as that. Because
everything, to the murders, the abuse, to the hate, to the divides, all of it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's the same as like that politician who got killed last week, stabbed, wasn't it? Do you think that was a setup? I personally think it was.
Look, if they want to bring in new legislation and all about protecting themselves, and if there's a politically motivated murder, then that's going to be life. Where if there's a murder to our offspring, our loved ones, it means nothing. They will lie about it. They will say it's an accident, like we've had in our case when it was a deliberate murder, a premeditated murder. What happened to our boys? The same with the abuse. Everything. Who goes to war? Who dies and who goes to war?
Yeah, exactly.
The commoners. The commoners.
Yeah.
It's all about making money.
At the end of, yeah. And at the end of the day, whenever I'm sorry for saying this, but I'm just going to do it to remind everybody. When the IRA were blowing the hell out and killing politicians, many years ago. Yeah. They put a ring of steel round the Houses of Parliament to protect all the MPs. Yeah. Now, that says it in itself. Whenever it came to the British people, whenever you looked at 9/11, yeah, what did they do to protect the British people? Now, MI5, yeah, knew, MI6 knew, right, the terrorists that we had in this country. But they let them go through the net. Hansa, one of the biggest, the British government paid £11.5 million, yeah, to keep him in the country when he should have been extradited to America, which he was in the end. Yeah. When you look at the Good Friday peace agreement, when they let all the terrorists in Northern Ireland out of prison and shit on every British soldier that ever put a uniform on in this country and in Northern Ireland, Afghanistan, you know, who's doing it? The are. Yeah. They got a free letter. All the terrorists got a free letter to keep them from ever being done in a court of law. But now, here we go, Northern Ireland, you're getting took to court now for serving your queen and country. Yeah, and that's to do with Northern Ireland on the Rock banner. It's to do with Afghanistan. It's Iraq. And it's going to be every single war that the British Armed Forces ever fought in. Yeah. What a good thing for queen and country. And who's done it? The government done it. Yeah. Not one soldier that I know, or RUC police officer, or special branch officer that I know ever signed up for the Good Friday peace agreement. The government did. And sold every single one of us down the toilet. Yeah. If that doesn't show corruption in our government, never mind all the rest of the shite that they're covering up. Yeah. It's time for the people in this country to wise up, grow a pair of bollocks, and start standing up for our country. It used to be GE, Great Britain. Now, I'm looking at our country going to turn into a third world shithole. Sorry about the language, but it's true.
I think it already is a third world shithole at the moment, Joesph. What about you, Tracy?
I agree with you.
As I said, you know, everything's being done intentionally, and everyone is being used for different reasons for their agenda.
Exactly.
And without concentrating on the problem, the cause of that problem, we aren't ever going to change anything for our offspring, because that's the correct term. Because we was brought up learning legalese, and we thought it was English, and we was brought up learning legal words, and that's how they assume their authority over us. Because the fact is, they have no authority over us apart from assumed authority. And once people can learn that and learn how to stand their ground, they have a chance in protecting their own loved ones. There's so much to learn because, like you just said, you know, the corrupt things, it is so dark. It's not just this, and this. You know, people have mentioned things in your comments. I've been trying to watch them, but it keeps flicking up.
There's too many, Tracy.
I've forgotten. Yeah. So thank you, everyone, again for joining us. We really appreciate your support on listening to us all tonight. So thank you very much. Because going on the voting system, and like you were saying earlier, Joesph, and Phil, we have no representation. I don't believe at the moment, the way the voting system is and the way it's all set up, that will ever be for our benefit, and it will never work, because we don't vote them in. They are elected. It doesn't matter what cross goes on that paper. They know how they're going to play. It's a game to them, a technocratic game. We don't even have proportional representation, which should be there if we lived in a democracy. So you'd have proportional representation in each of your constituency. There's a lot that everything needs changing. Everything, every institution, all the institutions cover for each other. The IOPC cover for the Met Police. Every institution they have covered. So there is a lot of changes. How that's done, I can't answer that. The only thing I can answer is let you know that, like, I think it was, or who was it earlier, who said that the leaders out there on the street are Pied Pipers, you are just following dead ends. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people online doing videos that look like us, sound like us, speak like us, will put things in that you already know about on your journey of becoming aware of what you live in, are there to also feed you lies. So then you still end up down a dead end. So there's a lot of these things out here that people have got to learn, hence the psychological, spiritual warfare that is going on. And learning the legal system is very important, because that is where the real life lies.
Yeah, and come to about Joesph in a week, somebody tried to clone him. They nicked his pictures.
Account?
Yeah, they tried to nick his pictures and try to clone him. I got a fair idea who it is, but I'm not going to say that. That's for either a week Sunday, I think, when I house somebody. But
no,
I'm
we've
somebody tried to clone it.
we looked into that, Phil. And well, Lizzie did as well. A lot of people did. And for a start, I was born in 1964. The person that tried to clone me, well, or has, 1969, and he's only used two photographs. But like I said, it's no. You sit there, Tracy, and Phil, I fight for children, and the vets, and I fight for Tracy as well. Yeah. And like I said, we're all the real truth tellers, and we know what it's like to have our trolls and hurt you, to try and shut you up. Yeah. But no, I've gone above that, and I know we all have in our own way. Yeah. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah. We've had to learn that the hard way. Doing what we do. And it's not easy, but we crack on and do it. And it's like, I'm not going to ever give up, and neither's Bobby. Yeah. And I know not all of us, all the true patriots out there, we're not going to give up for nothing. The only way that we could ever change this country, is to have a revolution. Yeah. I can't say no other way. Will it ever come to that? It's happened in other countries, because the people have been pushed that much. People have been broke that much. But if we got to get to that point where it's okay for our children to be killed, it's okay for our children to be raped and abused, it's okay for mothers and fathers to go to food banks to feed their children, right? How much more have we got to take before a revolution will start? Yeah. And it's proved all over the world that whenever people are pushed to the breaking point, then you have a revolution. That's what's going to happen. Maybe not in our time.
Well, I think they are pushing everyone to the breaking point, the ones who believe what they're watching on the TV. I think they are. And they will keep doing that. You know, they can easily give an illusion of a shortage. If you look at the fuel thing that they said was a leak, come on, nothing leaks that they don't want said. Nothing, right? You look at that. People created that fuel shortage themselves by everyone going at the same time, and then they created it for them to be able to put the fuel prices up.
It wasn't just that.
Said there was shortages, just like they said when there was shortages in the shops. You know, if people noticed things were going up in the shops, so they're rising inflation with no wage rise. And then you've got people on universal credit, and many can't help being on universal credit, you know, but they turn the workers off the people on universal credit. So then they don't care if anyone on universal credit has to go to a food bank and can't feed themselves or their children, you know, because they've created a big divide there when it's not the case. It's not the case. But again, that's another video. So there's a lot going on, but it wasn't, you know, then people started saying, oh no, it was so they could get rid of the backlog of fuel. Don't believe that one at all. Don't believe that one at all.
I believe, as far as the fuel is concerned, they did want to change the unleaded to E10, and all the tanks, they were full of E5. And we're all allowed a different opinion. I personally think that the government spoke to the oil companies and then spoke to the media, and they came up with this plan. Let's empty those barrels, do you know what I mean? By saying there was a fuel shortage. Because there certainly wasn't no shortage of lorry drivers. There certainly wasn't no shortage of oil tankers, because those oil tankers, there's a waiting list to become an oil tanker. So I didn't believe that one for a start. But I did actually believe that they wanted, by the end of October, get rid of the E5 fuel. But obviously that affected the diesel as well, and other different fuels. But it's all planned, Trace. It's definitely planned. I tell you that now.
Everything, and the solution that they bring in, and will make you think. Sorry, Joesph. The solution that they bring in that will make you think you want a revolution is already there.
Yeah,
it's already there. Unless you change what's up here, nothing's going to change. They're going to give you a solution that's already predetermined. Just like I said before, with the poll tax and the council tax, their aim was not the poll tax, it was the council tax. So for people to accept it, they said, here's a poll tax, this is what they was going to do. Then they controlled the rights at Trafalgar Square, even though a lot of decent, you know, honest, genuine people did go to that, just like they do on the streets at these demos. You get, you know, good, decent people going who have got good hearts because they don't know they're being led by Pied Pipers. The same thing as the poll tax. Their solution was the council tax, but for them to get you to consent to that and pay for that, because everything in this legal realm is about consent. Remove your consent and remove the assumption is the answer to all of this.
Yeah, these comments are coming through so fast.
That's why they want to remove.
Yeah, for November the 5th.
That's why they want to remove freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I think November the 5th is a complete setup. I know Alan Merritt said, "Oh, there's fights on November the 5th," but at the end of the day, Alan, you're not gonna be fighting anything, because one, the politicians aren't in Parliament, and they won't be, and two, the TSG won't allow you, and you're going to be kettled in Parliament where they know they can control you. It's simple as that. That's why the protest is at Parliament Square. It's to control you. It's simple as that. But I'm still going.
It's all online, isn't it? Yeah.
Well,
the thing is, when I go now, when I go out there, you know, I like to do a live to show the people that kindly follow me, the people that kindly support our boys and have done all this time, to show them, look, this is controlled, this is what they do, and this is why they're doing it. Because like I said, there is no heroes. There is no heroes. You know, most are false prophets, if you want to put it like that. Pied Pipers, yeah, taking us all down dead ends.
Yeah.
Solution isn't in the voting. In fact, when you fill in the voting form, and they will lie to you, because everything in this realm is about enforcement. It's about enforcement, and it's about threats. If you're not obliged to vote, they will tell you, but you're obliged to fill in the voting form, because once you fill in that voting form to get on the electoral roll, you have consented to be governed. There's your consent. You don't have to vote. You filled in that form, so they will lie to you. They will tell you it's a criminal offence and that you will be charged. I've been through this already. They criminally converted me onto the voting form because I told them I didn't consent, and then they lied and said, "Well, it's a criminal offence and you'll be charged this." It's a lie. It's a lie, yeah, because it's legal. Legal isn't the law. Legal is blanketing the law, just like socialism blankets communism. Oh, Joesph has gone again. Yeah, and like Yvonne said a little while ago, it's a dictatorship right here. If someone's telling you what to do, when you can go out, when you can't go out, when you can speak, when you can't speak, do this, do that. If you don't fill this in, you'll be charged this. If you don't do this, you'll be charged that. It's a dictatorship. You're being dictated to. Am I the only one on here? Oh, Phil's gone out.
Sorry about
Hi,
that.
Joe.
I've got a cold.
That's all right.
Sweetie.
Phil's been knocked off. So I'm sure he'll come back in a second. Soon as we're on his show.
He will.
You know, but hopefully I'll get to see you and Bobby soon anyway. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely, Tracy.
So what's
like I said, we're you. Pardon?
What's happening now? How further forward are you two? Because didn't you pass a social worker degree or something like that, both of you?
Yeah, we both did. We Birmingham University. We're lecturers now at Birmingham University.
Yeah, but that's amazing because you're going in different routes to try and assist people and try and teach people the correct way instead of because we live in a world of deception and lies, and it's very hard to get the truth through because the truth is hidden from the people.
It is, and you know it's like me and Bobby. As soon as we were asked to do what we done, we had to go to university first, obviously. But even then, I thought that was a joke, and Bobby did. But it wasn't. It was because of doing what we've done for years, winning the biggest court case in Europe, and working hard. You know what I mean? To try and make change. And as much as we do it, I've got no faith in the system whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because it's still as corrupt as ever. And at least we can turn round and go like, well, I've got a degree. You know what I mean? But even so, it's stuff like that that keeps us going on, and keeps us fighting, because we know that we're truly fighting for what we truly suffered and what we truly believe in. The same way you do, Tracy. And, me and Bobby, the same as you, we campaign all over the country yearly. and you can't be at every single demo. You know what I mean? But we're out there doing it. We were up in Glasgow a few weeks, Leeds, back to Glasgow again. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's time consuming. But at least, no, we're out there doing it. Because we really want to get the voice out there and tell the public and inform the public what the media isn't informing them of, which is all lies, which the government's telling, which the police establishment have covered up for decades. And all we're going to do is keep marching forward and keep doing it. It's in our blood, and that's what we'll do. We're not giving up for nothing. You know, I hate to see what we know was the truth that's being turned into lies by the establishment that tell us all what to do and rule us. You know what I mean? It's beyond a joke. Me and Bobby in Glasgow, London, Leeds, Blackpool, all over the place. Yeah. We and Bobby said at every demo that we ever go on, 160 MPs on a sex register. Yeah, that could be anything from touching your secretary up to child abuse. We've exposed the ones that have been done for sexual abuse with children. Leon Britton, Janner, Ted Heath, and all the other loads in it. The list goes on and on and on. We're not hiding nothing from the public. The media are, and you know that's why we do this. We use social media to expose the truth, because the media will never ever tell the truth. They cover it up too much, and you're aware of that, Tracy, and I know you are, Speedy.
Yeah, I was just going to say I can back that up, and just for people in the room who are not aware, after 4 days in, after the murders of our boys, we realised the police were lying. We were speaking to the media. We was having interviews with the media right up until probably early March. And every time they printed the story, they lied and just kept putting in the police's version, no matter what we showed them, no matter what we was telling them. So that's when I became totally aware that the media are our enemy, and that's exactly what they are. They are there to lie to you. They are not there for the truth. Even when I started speaking out and going on the streets, they started writing stories about me. They even changed our story in the paper to make it look like that I'd changed our boy's story. I haven't changed our boy's story. It's never been changed. It's always been the same. But then other people out there and on social media, common purpose people with all the same common aim. We have many people against us, even on social media, that look like, you know, they can be on your friends list or something like that, and are aiding the media and the government. I don't ever believe that we're the 99% and they are the 1%. I believe we are the 1% and they are the 99%. Because we don't just fight against the system, we're fighting against people that walk on the streets, like I said earlier, look like us, sound like us, will say things that you're aware of, so you think they're on your side, and they're not. So it's sifting through all of that. When you sift through all of that, you know, I've had nearly just over three and quarter years of research behind me now, plus being out on the streets, plus speaking at demos and asking to speak at demos, and walking as a yellow vest for, 55 weeks, and being unfortunately involved in what I'm involved in. And like Bobby, we don't want any of you out there to have to do what we do or become us, and that's why we're here. I don't know where Phil's gone. So I don't know if you want to end it. I waited 5 minutes to see if he could get back on. Maybe he can't get back on. So I don't know how you feel.
We'll give him 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, go on, Joesph.
We'll give him 5 minutes. Like I said, Tracy, yeah. We all know the corruption, and we know the cover-ups. Yeah. We're not out to scare people. We're not out to make people feel that, oh, I've got to watch my child. Oh, I've got to do this, that, and you know, we keep saying it to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, research it yourselves. Go and look at the statistics. Yeah. Look at whenever murders do happen in the country. That's not even classed now as a terrorist attack, but it is. Yeah. Look at the rape and abuse of children in the country. That's being covered up. Yeah. Forced adoption, everything. It's all there. Look at the statistics. Don't take our words for it. And we say it time and time again. And we've been saying it for years. You know what I mean? If you think that we're liars, look at the evidence, look at the statistics, and you'll see it for yourselves. You know, there's a lot's happened, and since the death of your children, of your child, sorry, Tracy, and the other families. But look at the other deaths that have happened in this country, that were children and adults have been mowed down. Yeah. That were covered up. You know what I mean? And this is what people need to do. You know, why do you think they've got a police officer that was killed in the Houses of Parliament? Yeah, look how big that went. Whenever Lee Rigby got killed, look what happened. Yeah, but yet the Houses of Parliament have got a ring of steel round them to protect them, and yet we've got nothing.
Phil can't get back on.
Good. Tracy, Phil can't get back on.
Right, okay then. So shall we end the stream then?
He's been kicked off his own show.
His internet's been cut.
It's been cut, his internet.
That doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised they haven't cut me off. That normally happens to me.
That normally happens to me as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll end the show anyway. We've been on for an hour and a half. Just to say to everyone, again,
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your kind comments. Thank you for your support. Thank you to Phil. I know he's not here, but thank you to Phil for inviting me on and being on with the lovely Joesph Blair.
Tracy, I love you to bits, you know that, sweetie. And I love Phil as well. And all our supporters out there. Tracy, I will meet you again soon, sweetheart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and Bob.
Brilliant. I look forward to it, Joesph. Send my love to Bobby, please.
I will, definitely.
And to your family. Take care. I'll see you soon.
All right, and you. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.